Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this one we are going to work on securing Azure SQL Database, and I'm working on a lab series for AZ500 Azure Security Technologies. And if you go to the Microsoft Learning GitHub repo, you will find there are multiple AZ500 labs. Make sure that you are selecting the latest one. Some of the older repos for 500, they have very old instructions. And for this one, we're actually redoing some of the labs because a lot of labs, they got updated very recently, as recent as like 7 days back. And those changes are to make sure all of the instructions they still works under the new features that has been added over last few months or last year or so. So again, we are done up to lab 10, and we are working on securing Azure SQL Database in this particular video. So we are going to do few things. We're going to take a look at protection against attacks such as SQL injection and data exfiltration, and how you can do that in Azure. Then how you can actually discover and classify database information into categories such as confidential. And finally, how to audit database server and database queries, and how to log events. Again, we're going to use the EastUS just like any other lab that we have been using. The first thing that we need to do, we need to implement a SQL database security features. So we already have a template that's given to us. We are going to use that one most likely to deploy our instance. So approximately 30 minutes is going to be the time it will take us to complete the lab. So first we're going to deploy this SQL database, configure advanced data protection, then configure data classification, and finally configure auditing. So again, go to your portal and deploy a custom template. And before we do anything, let's go and get the file as well. So from here, go down there, go to all files labs, go over here Azure deploy.json and click on raw file, and just download that Azure deploy.json. There might be one already exists. I'm going to replace the one that I have and replace by this. So over here in my Azure portal, I'm going to search for deploy a custom template, and under marketplace you see the template deployment. You select that one, and we're going to build your own template, and then click on upload file, go down to the very bottom where you deploy, get that file and hit save. And it says that we're going to deploy 3 different resources, and we're going to configure a little bit. First of all, west I'm going to change to east US, and most likely we're going to say resource, yeah, AZ500 lab 11 is the new resource group that we're going to create for the lab that we're going to do today. Excuse me. Okay, then I think that's all you need, and then hit create. It might go through some validation, but that's about it. I can close this tab. Then hit create, and this deployment is now started, in progress, and it will soon deploy a few resources for us within this particular resource group. So if you go down to the resource group, there's nothing here at the moment. Okay, but if you keep refreshing, you will see that there will be resources, and this comment will be gone that there are no resources. Okay, so the next is we gotta wait for the deployment to be done. And on the task 2, we are really going to configure the advanced data protection. And what we will do, we'll go and find the SQL server, and we are going to go to the SQL server and go to the security section, and we're going to go to the security center, and we'll enable the Azure Defender for SQL, switch to on. Okay, let's see if my deployment is done. It's not. So if I click on over here, it says deployment is in progress. While this is going on, I already have, I think, a SQL server that we can mess around right now. So here's SQL Server Database. So I can go to the SQL Server. Let's see over here. You can go to the security center. Let's see what we have here. And visit security center to manage security control. Azure Defender, it's saying, hey, configure my Azure Defender at the subscription level. We can click on configure, and Azure Defender for SQL is currently, it's actually on. And vulnerability assessment setting, okay, the resource group is created, so let's just use that resource group. So come back over here. So the SQL server is just very same. The SQL server, we're going to do the same thing, but on the deploy resource that we deployed in this lab. So if you come back over here it just says enable SQL Defender for SQL. So we can just click on that one, and that one would enable the SQL Defender for us. So come back over here. Now wait until enabling the Secure Defender SQL take effects. Once that's done, in the Azure Defender for SQL, enable at the server level configure parameter, click configure. So I think it's still going on, enabling. When it's done, we will click on we will work on the next task. Okay, now so this is done. So if you look at over here, it says successfully enabled the Azure Defender for SQL. So once this is done, we can come over here, and over here it says Azure Defender for SQL enable at the subscription level configure. Let's click on that link, and as you have here, click configure, and then on the server setting blade, review the information about the pricing and trial period, vulnerability assessment setting, and advanced threat protection settings. So come over here. So over here we have turned it on. Periodic recurring scans are on. If you want to send the report to some email ID, you can configure that one. And over here, advanced threat protection is also available to you. So let's come back over here. Now what it's telling, you may not see any recommendation. It takes 15 to 15 minutes for the recommendations to appear on the security center blade. Rather than waiting, proceed to the next task. So next we're gonna do, so basically we have turned on the Azure Defender in this particular task 2. Now we're gonna do configure the data classification. So what we will do, we will go to the database blade this time, not to the server but the database. So come back over here. So we are not changing anything here, so I'm just gonna go back over here. And go back to the resource group, and this time I'm gonna go to the database. And once I'm in the database, we're gonna go to the security and data discovery and classification. So over here, let's see security, then data discovery and classification. I'm gonna click on it, so it gives me this view. Right now there is nothing it has been identified. Here we're gonna click on the classification tab. Okay, so what it's telling me, 15 columns with classification recommended. So if you click on it, you will see all the recommendation. So yeah, 15 column, review the list columns and their sensitivity level, and then enable the select all checkbox and click accept selected recommendation. So the Azure is smart. It's, if you click on it, it's telling you, hey, these are the sensitivity level that we are recommending. Do you agree? So we're gonna click on select all. If you don't agree, you can change any of them if you like, but since we agree, we can pretty much save. Let's see. Accept selected recommendation is what we need to click next. And now everything that we have selected, the way Microsoft has recommended, the way it should be classified. Some of them GDPR and rest of them confidential, and we can hit save. So that will save the current classification. Okay, so that's about it, how you classify your sensitivity of your columns. And then we are going to go back to data discovery and classification. And you would notice, if you go back to overview, it should be updated with the most recent information. Okay, so overview may take just a little bit of time, so just give it some time. Let me make sure that's the database, and we just did data discovery and classification. Go back right there. So it's now this view I was actually talking about. So this is now updated. So you have 15 columns, and you have confidential, GDPR, and regular confidential. So two of them with the GDPR, and you have even further breakdown, and even you can say financial, credit card, credentials, contact info, and name, how they're classified. So now we have completed our data classification, or data what did we do? We did the data classification, right? And then next we are gonna do the auditing. For the auditing, again, we're gonna go back to the SQL Server blade and go to security and then auditing. So from here, I'm gonna go to the resource group, go to the server, and then under security, let's see, where is my auditing? Security and then auditing. Okay, this is the security blade and then auditing. Then right now looks like the auditing is off, everything is off, so we need to turn it on. Enables Azure Security Auditing, we need to do that. So auditing switch to on, let's do that. And where do you want to send your audit log? So you need to configure that one. Select the storage checkbox and click configure. Okay, so subscription, that's the subscription where we want to send. I'm just gonna check one of the storage accounts that I have, and if you want, you can send it to the log analytics and event hub as well, but we're just gonna store it in a storage account for this lab. They are actually saying to create a storage account, new one, and have name associated with it. So we can also do that. So we can create a storage account just for this purposes. So SQL Audit logs 33224. Okay, so that is what we're gonna use. So it's now creating this storage account, and you probably should choose the storage account v2 for this purpose, but it's okay. Let's come back over here and see what we need to do next. And in this storage account, we can set the detention days to 5, so that we're not storing just really too old data. Interesting. I thought we created a storage account. So, I'm just gonna choose this one for now then, and come back over here. Or did we create from here? No, we didn't. So come over here and back to the auditing. Okay, we also need to set the storage account. Storage setting blade retention days. So over here, do we have a retention days? Yeah, here the retention days we're gonna keep 5 days. Okay, so we got that policy set as well, and now we can save it. Alright, so that is now done. Now on the server blade in the setting, we can click on the SQL databases. So we're still on server. Let's see where SQL databases, you can click on that one. And there is only one database right now. Click on that entry and go to security and auditing. So we are enabling auditing in 2 levels. First we did it on the server level, then we're gonna enable the auditing at the database level as well. And here again we're gonna do this storage, select the subscription and SQL audit log. So this is now available to me. So log analytics, we are not doing it, we're just doing this much and hit save. So let's see, this is database level auditing. Server level auditing is already enabled. So remember always that you gotta do both the server level and the database level auditing, and this time your audit logs are also written to the storage account. You can use the log analytics if you want, or as event hub to send the data, the logs. And finally, you can view the audit logs. Let's see, come back, it says okay. And where are my audit logs? Let's see. Database settings, security, auditing. View audit logs is right there, so you can click on it. So that will give you the audit if you have anything. But interestingly, server, it looks like I can get both the server audit log or the database audit log from the same audit records, although you have to enable them in 2 different places. You can look at both of them from this audit records tab. And that since this server database were created recently, unlikely that any events will be available at this point. So that's it. So that's pretty much it. In this lab, we looked at really the security features, right? Again, just to summary, we deployed the SQL database using a template. We configured advanced data protection. So that was pretty simple. So all we did, we went to security and we enabled advanced. We just enabled Azure Defender really, and then click on configure, and we made sure the vulnerability assessment was available to us. And then what we did, we went down and looked at the data classification. Azure already analyzed the data and told us, okay, I have 15 columns and we have some recommendation. We just accepted the recommendation they have given us. We could have changed it if we like. Finally, we configured auditing at the server level and also at the database level. Alright, so that's about it. If you like the lab, just give me a like, subscribe to the channel, and happy learning. Thanks for watching.